Craig, you are predicting a Spurs win this time around.
Yeah, I just think there's a different mentality there. They've had all their business done early. Obviously, there's still a lot of talk about Chelsea and potential for 2 or 3 transfers coming in. Tuchel's not quite satisfied with the squad. That's public knowledge. Tottenham, on the other hand, there's no rumours about them bringing anybody else in. They got their work done early. They got some money to spend. It kept Antonio Conte happy. They had a well-documented pre-season that we discussed on length in this show, and it was a tough, hard, no-nonsense pre-season, but that's the way the manager works. And they got a good start last week. Wasn't the greatest performance, but they managed to get 4 goals. And I know the record at Stamford Bridge, as you mentioned, is pretty awful, but I just get a feeling with this Tottenham team is that they've gone there scared in previous years. And even last year with Conte, it was, well, I don't quite think I've got enough. Well, he's got pretty much a player for every position now coming off the bench. They're strong, he has options. And I think there's been a sea change in the mentality within this Tottenham team. There's more of a belief. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think we might see a bit of that early on at the weekend.
Do you agree with Craig's prediction, Nadim?
Well, I think Chelsea will be fine, but I think he's right in terms of talking about that mentality that Conte is bringing to Spurs. I think when we saw them play there last year, there were times when they looked really outplayed, looked like they couldn't never catch up to how Chelsea were. But as they've sort of developed through this pre-season, you see the way that they're playing now, the confidence that they have. And, you know, the odds are one thing, but I think there's a sentiment that Spurs are ahead of Chelsea right now. So with that, they're going to arrive at the stadium and believe that they can get a result, you know, because why shouldn't they? They have great players. They have a manager who believes in them, the players who believe in themselves. You know, they've obviously run those 42 lengths in pre-season as well. So obviously nothing's going to stop them. But I get it. But then for me, I think Chelsea, for as much as they are losing players and they are still trying to be part of this almost like rebuild, you look at the starting 11 they can put out, and, you know, they've got some quality in there. You know, it's good for them to have people like Reece James and Chilwell back being fully fit, because I think a lot of the game revolves around them. So I believe that, you know, Chelsea will have enough. And when you sort of see the history behind it, you know, it does seem crazy that Chelsea have been so dominant over Spurs at Stamford Bridge. But, you know, I'm expecting something similar this weekend, unfortunately, regardless of the fact that Spurs are having their first true test in this sort of time where there's greater expectation upon them.
So it's a 1-1 draw for Nadim. Craig obviously going for the Tottenham win in this one. What about you, Shaka?
I've gone for Spurs win as well. I think now is the perfect time for Spurs to play Chelsea. Chelsea have had this kind of uncertain pre-season about them. They got a few, most notably Sterling in the summer, but then it's been hit and miss ever since that. And my greatest concern for them, I thought you saw play out real time against a very poor Everton team. Where are the goals going to come from? In the end, it took a penalty to break that deadlock. On the other side, though, I think Spurs trending in the right direction, certainly during the course of this calendar year. Conte with a full pre-season with this side. I think this is as good as you will get from Spurs. So those two things coming together, Spurs on the up and Chelsea still trying to find their way, I see Spurs going to Stamford Bridge and getting a win.
Well, when it came to the pre-season... Go on, Craig.
No, I was going to say, I think there is a chance that, you know, Spurs are able to take a little bit more control in games this year. You know, Bentancur has bedded himself in. I think Bissouma is a terrific player. He probably won't start. He didn't start last weekend, but I think eventually it will be Bissouma in the side, and who he plays alongside him, we'll wait to see. But I think he's an excellent player. So I think they're able to get a little bit more control of the ball than previous games. And I think the difference between the sides, if Spurs can get the game right at the back defensively, and we know he's made some changes in that part of the team this summer, is Chelsea have a lack of a cutting edge. Obviously, Werner went back to Leipzig. He couldn't cut the mustard in England. Lukaku went back to Inter. He couldn't cut it last season. And they've got some talented players, but they really don't have any natural goal threat up front. Not to say they don't have a threat, but they don't have the natural goal threat that Spurs have. Even if Spurs were to take Harry Kane off and bring Richarlison on, that's still a huge threat. So the other side for Chelsea is, can Raheem Sterling produce the form of Man City? He's not playing with as good of players. He's not playing in a team that's going to dominate as much as Man City. So that's going to be a big ask in him to keep bringing those kind of stats to the table in what is a poorer team than he's been used to playing in. And so I just think from Tottenham's perspective, with the threat they've got up front, that there is a big chance for them to lay a marker down for the season here on Sunday.
We just saw